Takuta Ferris.
Tēnā koe te pika. Tēnā tātou, tūana hau te tukuinga whakaaro te Pāti Māori, mō te pira e whaakene. Te Pāti Māori supports the essence of this bill, because we support giving power to the people to decide on our laws in some situations. What we do not support is allowing the majority to decide the rights of minorities, and dismissing the constitutional rights of tiwi Māori through te tiriti o Waitangi along the way. We do not support the tyranny of the majority, as described by Sir Geoffrey Palmer in his submission, as part of the King's Council submission, against the principles of the Treaty of Waitangi Bill. That tyranny of the majority has been weaponised against tiwi Māori over and over and over again. Last year, the government passed a law that would force almost all of our Māori wards to be put to a referendum. These seats are necessary to promote an unapologetic and unrestrained voices of tangata whenua, those people as tiriti partners in local government. And their existence should not be subject to a referendum, where the majority of voters are not Māori. The ACT Party wants to put the principles of the Treaty of Waitangi to a referendum. They've made up their own meaning. They've made up their own meaning for the treaty, a novel one at that, a meaning that suits their desire to open up Aotearoa to corporate exploitation. And they want to ask the public whether or not they agree with the principles which have no basis. These are the dangers of a referendum. They've made up principles out of thin air and are asking the voting public to tick yes or no without providing any information. These are the dangers of a referendum. Thus, those are the dangers of the referendum. Referendum can be used to take away our voices and take away our rights at the whim of the public, the ignorance or otherwise of the public. And if there are no cautions put in place to raise the skill of the public to make a good decision, then referendum are very dangerous things. These are the dangers of referendums for tangata whenua. These are the dangers that referendums pose to the rights imparted to the government through Te Tiriti o Waitangi and every other citizen in the country. We cannot have referendums that victimise minorities or rewrite history. And sadly, recent history has shown us that these are the only reasons the government will use a referendum. We cannot support the bill in the context of where we are today. Referendum have not been on our side since the establishment of Parliament in 1845. And unfortunately, despite the apologies of the Crown to tiwi Māori, as we listened to, or just graciously, politely listened to this morning, agreed to this morning, despite those apologies to tiwi Māori, we continue to see the promotion of ideas and bills that run straight over the top of Māori constitutional rights. Constitutional rights in our own country. These are the dangers of referendums in 2025. Referendums of the ignorant. These are the dangers of those things. And so, Mr. Speaker, well, you obviously haven't been following the whole speech, bro. But these are the dangers of referendums, and this is our position. And, you know, we agreed to share this country in 1840. We agreed to. Our tikuna committed to sharing it. And unfortunately, we're still here waiting for the Crown to come around to honouring their commitments. Kia ora tātou.
Yes. So you can picture what a Swiss model could result in for Māori. So there's a reason why you may not want to go down that route, that line of thinking, and why a participatory democracy model would be a better option.
Mm. It all comes down to levels of education, really, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. And insufficient levels of education, I have zero confidence that we can have an informed debate on issues throughout the nation, you know.
A example that can show of education on things, and this is the difference between two cities, Lower Hutt, Upper Hutt.
Yep.
For local council, for the city council, both councils use first past the post. In the case of Lower Hutt, it has at last election 6 general wards, 6 councillors elected at large, and a mayoral vote using first past the post, but the regional council uses STV. They had an informal vote rate of 8%, which was out of whack with every other district that had a poll, because the Wairarapa, the candidate, got elected unopposed. So whereas Upper Hutt has first past the post, 10 councillors at large, 1 mayor. And their informal vote rate was not even 1% or something, in line with the rest of the region. And the other districts that had elections for the regional council was Kapiti Coast, Porabura and Wellington, and all 3 district councils, district city councils of the areas and their regional equivalents all use STV. But it was interesting in the case of Lower Hutt having that higher informal rate. At the same time, they held a referendum on whether to switch their voting system from STV or keep it at first past the post. and there was a retiring councillor going around spreading straight out misinformation about STV. And that particular referendum for changing STV lost, and they've stuck with first past the post. But it does definitely just show the education part, that even when you have a referendum on STV, the regional council votes had 8% informal rate in Lower Hutt, but the counterpart in Upper Hutt had less than 1.
I mean,
and that might be the education of the people in the two areas.
I mean, I was looking at the OECD data when I was doing the regulatory standards bill, and New Zealand does have a problem when it comes to transparency, right? It is on the government to improve the way how they educate bills in referenda to the members of the general public, because members of the general public may not know. They don't know where to get this information from. Like, how many people knew about that watched the show knew about regulatory impact statements before I started going, hey, look, over there, you can read this.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, put it this way, we didn't really know much about regulatory impact statements until probably this current government by skipping them so often.
Yep.
Well, we've also seen you don't learn much about the content of a bill by watching the debate.
No.
Like, I mean, put it this way, at the start of the bill for the four-year term, I did a bit of explanation because I've watched the bill once, and before I watched the bill, my grandmother's asking me questions and then going, oh, I don't like the sound of this. I've got no problem with a 4-year term, but I don't like the way that they're thinking of this. That is the worst option you could have.
Yep. And again, it's like what Gary just said. It's like they spend very little time talking about the content in the bill. That really should be what the first speech is about. But they spend such little time talking about it. They're into the debate, right? And it's just like, oh, what are they talking about? I don't know.
And maybe we need to have a TikTok thing on there, on that videos going out. What do you think was on this? What bill do you think they were talking about?
Yeah.
Could you have guessed it was this?
The speeches don't reflect the content of the bill.
Yep. And well-informed people make better decisions, and that goes for MPs as well. And it looks to me like some of them haven't even read the content of the bill.
Yeah, and that's why I don't...
General concepts.
Yeah, and that's why I don't just read the debate transcript. I look at the bill, and I read the regulatory impact statement, and I read what the Law Society also has to say as well. Like, I have to look at other sources to get a full picture of what this is about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to our Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok. News got the order, paper.